First and foremost, Charlie Munger. Now, a lot of people are not necessarily familiar with Charlie Munger, but Charlie Munger was Warren Buffett's right-hand man. Some people may not be familiar with Warren Buffett because they're not necessarily in tune or they're just discovering the show and you're just now starting to get into your financial literacy journey. Don't let nobody shame you. If you're just now starting to get into your financial literacy journey, you're starting to divest yourself against the toxic things that was for you. You're starting to get a little bit more interested and so on and so forth. We are for everybody here over at the Millionaire Morning Show, and more importantly, the bag chasers over at the Patreon. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly, right? We're for everybody over here. So Warren Buffett is one of the greatest investors of all time. He is the father of Buffettology, which is basically leveraging compound interest in order to get incredibly rich, right? But to a lesser known degree, not to those in the financial community, but to a lesser known degree, Charlie Munger was his right-hand man. I mean, they were like peas in a pod. They were, you know what I'm saying, like together. And Warren Buffett often cites Charlie Munger as the catalyst or one of the people, if he did not have Charlie Munger by his side, that is no way he would have been able to build Berkshire Hathaway, which basically made both of them billionaires, all right? So let me just give you a little bit of insight of what's going on from a video perspective of who Charlie Munger is and what happened.
Here we have some sad news to share. Charlie Munger, Berkshire Hathaway's vice chairman and Warren Buffett's longtime business partner and close friend, has died at the age of 99, just a little more than a month shy of his 100th birthday. Berkshire Hathaway just releasing a statement. Berkshire Hathaway a few minutes ago was advised by members of Charlie Munger's family that he peacefully died this morning at a California hospital. Warren Buffett says in the release, quote, Berkshire Hathaway could not have been built to its present status without Charlie's inspiration, wisdom, and participation. Munger was well known for his one-liners at the annual Berkshire Hathaway meetings and for packing the house at his own Wesco and then daily journal meetings. A man of deep knowledge, Munger worked as a lawyer before moving into investing. Munger had 8 children and countless fans.
Charlie Munger died at 99 years old. That is a very, very much of a blessing. Very few people get to live and then die peacefully in a hospital or in their home at 99 years old. And they said it'll be impossible to fill the conglomerate's well-established succession plan as far as Berkshire Hathaway. But he died peacefully at a hospital in California where he lived and no cause was given. He would have been 100 years old on January 1st. They say Berkshire could not have built its present status without Charlie's inspiration, wisdom, and participation. Buffett, who was 93 years old himself, he said that in a statement, and they said the death of Munger, Berkshire vice chairman since 1978, marks the end of an era in corporate America and investing. So, yep, Charlie Munger, one of the greatest financial minds of our time, has passed away. Rest in peace to Charlie Munger. And we wish his family well. He had 8 children. All right. In addition to that, Mark Cuban is largely rumored to be selling the Dallas Mavericks or a portion of the Dallas Mavericks.
All right, just actually getting off the phone. Got some breaking news in the world of sports, literally breaking right now. Billionaire Mark Cuban, obviously well known to the CNBC audience, is selling his majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks to the Adelson family. I can confirm that. CNBC can confirm that deal. Now, Cuban paid $285 million for the team in 2020. Guys, that's not a report. We have got this. I'm confirming it right now. CNBC confirms that Mark Cuban selling his majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks to Marion Adelson. Now, there's some. Let's just kill the prompter, guys, because I just got off the phone and I'm going to tell you what I just learned. There's some interesting dynamics to this deal, okay? You're going to hear that the valuation is $3.5 billion, which seems low for an asset like the Dallas Mavericks. But here's why this is the most unusual sale, I think, in the history of the modern NBA. Mark Cuban is going to retain control of basketball operations. So that he'll still have a minority stake in the Mavericks, but will have operational control over the team and its operations. What does that mean? Well, according to my sources, what that means is that while Miriam Adelson and the Adelson family will be the majority owners of the Dallas Mavericks. The team, drafts, everything else will be run still by Mark Cuban. Now, Mark, if you're out there watching the program, you know where to find us. Feel free to call in anytime over the next 38 and a half or so minutes. We'd love to hear your take on this as well. And this is interesting because Mark Cuban also just announced recently that he is stepping down from Shark Tank after this upcoming season, which will be his 16th. So in a matter of 2 days, Mark Cuban says, you know what, last season of Shark Tank, I'm going to be selling my majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks.
So Mark Cuban is basically selling a majority stake to the Dallas Mavericks to a woman named Miriam Adelson, but he's going to retain control of the team. He first purchased the team for $285 million in the year 2000. So, but he's still going to remain over the head of it, and he's going to control it. But the Mavericks was last valued by Forbes at $4.5 billion. Marion Adelson had sold about $2 billion worth of stock in a company earlier this year with the goal of buying into a sports team, according to CNBC, and she's purchasing into the Dallas Mavericks at a $3.5 billion valuation. Now, Mark Cuban spoke a lot about the idea of having an environment where a sports team basically lives within some form of gambling or live gaming that allows for them to be able to leverage both in order to continue to run the backup. So I don't know what the play is. This is the news that's being reported. So it should be interesting to see how this plays out. And then last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, Apple. So Apple is basically ending its partnership with Goldman Sachs for the Apple Card. And we don't know what the future of the card is going to be. Let me give you a little bit of insight of what's going on with Apple, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, welcome back on this very busy news night. Another major story is developing ahead of tomorrow. Apple sending a proposal to try to end its partnership on its credit card with Goldman Sachs. That, according to the Wall Street Journal. Steve Kovac is here with more on this breaking news. Could we have more breaking news tonight, by the way? Steve, thanks for sticking around.
This is what's great about this business, right? So let me just give you a breakdown what's going on here. Apple is trying to get out of that partnership with Goldman. WSJ reporting companies sent a term sheet to Goldman in an attempt to unwind the deal that started back in 2019 with the launch of what else? The Apple Card. That partnership deepened in April of this year with the launch of a high-yield savings account that lets you take the cash back from the Apple Card, put it into a savings account with a 4% return. Apple said in August customers had already deposited $10 billion in those accounts. Apple and Goldman now have to work out the terms of an exit, which we're told could take over a year. In the meantime, those Goldman-backed Apple financial products, they're going to work as usual. It also marks the latest big step by Goldman to get out of the consumer banking experiment following significant losses. The Journal reported earlier this year Apple may actually turn to Amex as a new partner for these products, but Apple and Goldman need to settle those terms to kill the partnership first. And of course, financial services, a growing part of Apple's overall services business with Wallet app, that's at the center of it. There's Apple Pay, the Goldman Apple Card and Savings account, and a buy now, pay later service that's funded by Apple itself, not to mention other wallet features like digital driver's license, gift cards, and so forth. By the way, just before I got on set, Brian, I got a comment from Apple on this. Not really giving much detail, others saying they're focused on, quote, providing an incredible experience for our customers to help them lead healthier financial lives. Not really talking about the future of the partnership, but going on to say they're still going to be together for now.
So Apple is basically eliminating Goldman Sachs as its partner for the Apple Card. Now, me personally, I can't see Apple going without a partner. They're saying that it's rumored for them to be going with Amex. So that should be interesting. We don't know how that's going to play out, but I will keep my eyes and ears to the streets on what's going on in financial news, which is really interesting to me because when they first announced the Apple Card, I was trying to understand the terms of the agreement with Goldman Sachs. Now, as people in the chat, for example, they're saying that Apple is like a bank now. I think that every company is like a bank now, right? When you look at Tesla, and the fact, for example, that they made us put a deposit down for the Cybertruck and the Roadster, the upcoming Roadster, and it's been 5 years, right? Basically, what we did as consumers is we gave we gave Tesla a interest-free loan to sit on our money and continue to leverage it to do whatever it is that they wanted to do, whether or not they wanted to develop, use research and development, build infrastructure and all of that stuff. When we give these companies these deposits, or they sit on our money, or you keep money inside of a particular venue for whatever it is that you using, whether it's a technology company or something like that, we're basically giving them interest-free loans. We're letting them use our money for whatever it is that they need to do. Whether or not they making more money off of it or whatever, that's a completely different conversation based off of whatever company that you're giving your money to. But it essentially, I never seen the benefit that Goldman Sachs got out of this whole situation. I seen the benefit that Apple got out of it because it allowed for them to be able to acquire more customers that didn't have the money to be able to finance whatever product that they wanted to buy from Apple, right? You got a bigger customer base, but Goldman Sachs, it seems like, was the ones that was taking all the financial risk, especially when you talk about default. So a lot of these companies and these banks are trying to partner with these large technology companies, but it seems like all of the benefit goes over to Apple because when you start, and again, I don't know the terms of the agreement, but when you're talking about defaulting, Apple is mainly a technology company that then sells services and they sell products over to consumers, right? Banks make the majority of their money off of you paying the interest on whatever it is that they're loaning you. And so when all of the risk goes one way, I can see why Goldman Sachs was losing a ton of money as a result of this partnership. Again, I don't know all of the terms of the deal of whether or not Goldman Sachs or Apple took somewhat of a risk from whatever it was that they partnered with Goldman Sachs. But it doesn't make any sense. The majority of Apple's financing, if you have an Apple card, we have an Apple card. The majority of the financing came along with the idea that you would get interest-free payments on whatever Apple product that you pushed out anyway. And so the fees and the transaction fees and the risk of default and all of that, it didn't make sense for Goldman Sachs. For me, I don't see how they benefited whatsoever as far as partnering with Apple just because they were a big technology company. And then they saying that it's a possibility for them to switch over to Amex. So I'm going to keep my eyes out and my ears out for the streets to keep you guys informed on what's going on out in these streets.